What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my breakdown of the new Mythic Lumera and Emblem Marth banner. I'll also be going over my light mythic tier list. So Lumera is a light mythic who can boost up your defense, and she's a blue infantry dragon who is more of the supportive type. So as we can see, she's going to be using the ruse skill and also setting up the Divine Vein stone terrain. I'm not sure what kind of map FEH is facing. Is it like a stall team with Eden and Robin? So she's going to be getting attacked by Hell here, and she does have Monarch Stone as the preferred weapon. This is a pretty straightforward weapon, giving you -1 special cooldown, and this also gives her stats in the combat depending on 25% of foes' visible attack stats subtracted by 4. So if a foe has got 72 visible attack, then you're going to be able to get the max plus 14 to all of your stats. And then you can also get true damage based on 20% of her speed, and she also has the damage reduction built in on foe's first attack by 40%. It is going to be including the brave hits, and you're also going to be able to get the guard effect in the combat. So it's pretty much similar to what Lumera got last year as a Grail unit, but now she is a mythic unit, and she does have Rally Defense Rest Plus, also attack speed Scowl 4, which a lot of people have been looking forward to. It doesn't really use the speed for scaling, it still uses your resistance, and Lumera has got base 40 resistance, so she's not going to be having a hard time right there. And then you also have attack speed Ruse 4. We did get the Ruse 4 skills with the Ninja banner on Ninja Heather, and now we have got another Ruse 4 skill for disabling the Brattle Catcher teams. We don't really see Brattle Catcher teams that much right now in Vault of Heaven because a lot of teams are just high threat range with Cav lines, with Flyer lines, and Crosshair is pretty much going to be the Dark Mythic you're going to be seeing on the Cav lines or Flyer lines. And there's also Duo Sanaki and Winter Inaka, so Ruse 4 is not going to be as useful as you think it would be in Vault of Heaven right now because of the teams that we have. And then she also has a preferred skill in Dragon Monarch, so if she acts, then she's able to set up the Divine Vein stone terrain on spaces within 5 rows and 5 columns centered on her for 1 turn. So this is amazing support because Divine Vein stone terrain is going to be giving the units +6 defense and resistance in combat, and it also gives you the flat 10 damage reduction on the enemy specials, and you also are going to be able to get that 50% damage reduction on AoE attacks. So it is going to be helpful when we've got Ninja Igrin as a really solid Ether Raid's defense unit, and being able to set up the stone terrain is going to be really good, but just watch out for any kind of Deadly Miasma or Flared Sparrows that can set up the fire terrain. So it will just replace the stone terrain, and then your units are going to be having much less bulk. She also has the Joint Drive Spectrum +4 in this weapon, and also gives you the Joint Drive Null Guard. So it is going to be checking for the allies in 5 rows and 5 columns, and she also gives the support in that space. So being able to give out the Null Guard effect is definitely really helpful so that you can trigger stuff like No Quarter or just trigger your specials for the damage reduction piercing. And you can also get 30% damage reduction to Lumera. This is not something that she gives out, just keep that in mind. So she's going to be stacking up the damage reduction along with her weapon, but keep in mind that all of this damage reduction is completely pierceable. So overall, Lumera is a pretty nice support unit for the stone terrain, and it is going to be useful for tanking. She doesn't really do too much for Gale Force because this time around, she's not a sword infantry unit. She cannot really use Gale Force as a dragon, and dragons don't really have any kind of exclusive specials. So if you're wanting to run any kind of high cooldown special, then you can just run Ether. And because she's got the Joint Drive effect, it is going to be a bit of an annoying thing when Embla can inflict the feud status and completely ignore her support. So you'll have to watch out for Emblas. I don't think that Embla is as good as she was on the release, but still, it is something to be kept in mind in the Light and Dark season. And Lumera already comes with a Rally Plus skill and a Ruse skill, so that is really good for support. But if you want to use her mainly for tanking with herself, then you can run the Finish skill. That is also an option because of the Null Guard effect, and Counter or 4 or Magical Null Follow-Up are also going to be amazing slot B options. For her Sacred Seals, you can just try and double down on the support with Drives or Feint skills because she's mainly going to be using her Rally, and if you're going to be using her in the combat, then Darting Breath or Distant Counter Dragon Sacred Seal is something you can run because she does have pretty high resistance and also is going to be fast. And then she can get the Omni plus 14 with her weapon, so it does help in the combat. But mainly in Aether Raid's offense, she's going to be functioning as a support unit. And her fodder is also really good because there are a lot of fast dragons that would like to use the scout skill, even if like they're going to be using their resistance for the scout check. It is still a pretty good skill to have. And then Ruse Force skill can help you if you're struggling against any of the Brattle Catcher teams, and just in general having the supportive skill like this is good for doubling down. So let's see where she ranks on my light mythic tier list. In tier 1 I've got Peony, and Peony's remix and refine has happened, and even though it's not the most insane thing, still she can give out the debuff neutralization status, and Peony is simply a timeless mythic unit, so good. And now we also have guidance for and soaring guidance that she can run. The other timeless mythic is also Asker, because he's really versatile, can be used with any kind of team composition, be it tanking or Gale Force, and because he can give the special charges, it does help you pre-charge stuff like Godlike Reflexes, especially with Emblem Marth, being a thing and giving you double slaying effect. So it is something you can do with tanking, and he also functions as a really good Gale Force unit because he just pulses down everyone, regardless of their movement type. So if you stack up infantry pulses and other support, then you can have a really good Gale Force team with lower Gale Force cooldown. And in tier 2, I would have Lumera because I don't think that she's that insane of a tier 1 mythic. I do think that she is useful for tanking, but unfortunately, she cannot really contribute much to a player face team. She is going to be giving out the extra stats, but that's pretty much it. There's also Mila, who's going to be helping in tanking with her dull attack support and also the isolation that she can inflict. So that is helpful for just stopping the dancer traps or the dancer units in general. But you will have to watch out for any kind of Safi because she's going to be cleansing the isolation. And then we also have Nerthus in tier 2. Even though Nerthus can not really get past many of the near safe units, I still think that she's really solid for Gale Force and also for hit and run. She just has a lot of the things which you will need. Her color can be a bit of a problem because nowadays a lot of good defenses are going to be teching for Winter Edelgard. So Winter Edelgard is also a blue unit just like her. So she's going to be getting caught in that crossfire, but still pretty useful. And then we have got Freya in tier 3. So Freya has got a lot better with her remix and refine. And she also has gotten new tools now. Like she has got the wild skill, so she can easily charge up her Gale Force and not rely on Heavy Blade. She also has Neotrace built in her weapon, so that's pretty useful for positioning, even if you just use her as a smite bot. And ending tier 3, I've got Ash here. She does have the Omni guidance, but now we just have guidance for and soaring guidance as an inedible skill. So Peony can a lot of times compress the role of providing the warping. So Ash's support is not really as unique as it used to be, and her combat also has fallen a bit because she's not exactly Asker, and if you replace her slotsy skill with Infantry Pulse, then she's not going to be providing any kind of unique support. Still, Ash can function in a lot of different team compositions, and the warping is always helpful. Starting off tier 4, I've got Goto, and I do think that he has fallen off quite a bit because we've got so many nukes with damage reduction piercing, and Goto depends on the damage reduction piercing for his life because he's a combat mythic unit. He's not going to be able to get the extra HP, and as it is, any kind of Winter Yunaka or Duo Tsunaki is going to be having the flared skill with the Occultist Strike or Assassin Strike for getting the pre-combat damage. So not having that extra HP can really hurt, and then they just have damage reduction piercing, so they'll just kill Goto. So he's going to be useful more as a support unit, and giving out the damage reduction against AoE specials can definitely be helpful because Ninja Gren is a really threatening unit with her AoE special. So it can help you with the tanking, especially with the stone terrain of Lumera. And then I've got Air in tier 4. So because she's a flying unit, she can always make use of Soaring Guidance and Guidance 4. And if you've seen my Aether Raid's offense videos, I often use her as a smite bot. And because she's a flying unit, she can often smite on the Flowerline map, which is the desert map. So there, a flying unit does help quite a lot. And if you're going to be tanking, then you can still use Sparkling Boost. This is that we have got a lot of other healing type of support that can be outsourced with like Gatekeeper and stuff. So it's not the most insane thing, but still, being a flying unit, she does have access to different skills, and she's also a dagger unit, so Disarm Trap 4 is also something that she can run. And now she also can run deploy skills if you're mainly going to be using her as a smite bot, which is going to be most of the time, I would say. And then in the bottom tier, I've got Dagger. Dagger is really unfortunate because she doesn't really contribute too much to the tanking or gale forcing, and Pathfinder is not as useful on offense, so she desperately needs a refine and remix, which should be happening in March of this year. So soon she's going to be getting something better because she really needs that. Her preferred skill gets eclipsed by something like Physical Null Follow-Up, which is just a superior option because of its damage reduction piercing. And then finally I've got Uller. So Uller was a pure combat mythic, and that doesn't really age well most of the time. And unfortunately her damage output is simply not going to be enough in the modern times, and she doesn't even give out any kind of support like Dagger, for example. So you cannot really do too much with her and cannot really run any kind of supportive skills. You can definitely run her as an EOE unit on a Gale Force team, but she herself cannot really get another action like Freya, Nerthus, Ash, or Asker. So that is something that is going to be a bit annoying because a lot of times you're going to be needing to depend on your player face teams, and getting that Gale Force and that extraction is going to be really, really useful. And even if you're not going to be getting the Gale Force, at least with units like Air, you can function as a smite bot and still provide the support or stack up resistance, but Uller cannot really do any of those things. So let me know what you think about my light mythic tier list down in the comments, and where would you rank Lumera? We also have Emblem Marth as a new type of unit, and I really feel like we're going to be getting a new game mode in this year where Emblem units are going to be used for their merges, because they're going to be appearing like Legendary and Mythic units at the end of the month, and they also are just a new unit type. And if you look at the Legendary units, then their merges add to the score in Arena, and Mythic units obviously add towards the score in Ether Raids and also in Mjolnir Strike. So I feel like they've already done it where a merge on an Emblem hero, when you're going to be engaging with them, is going to be giving you one stat, just like Dragon Flowers. And they did mention that in the FEH channel, so that's why I think that we're probably going to be getting a new game mode. And Emblem Marth is the first Emblem unit as a sword infantry unit, so you can Emblem engage with any kind of character except for Emblem Marth. So it's not like the restriction of arcane weapons or attune skills where units with preferred weapons are not going to be able to get it. So here Emblem Marth is going to be just dunking on this ninja Zelgius, and as you can see, he attacks 3 times. So he has got Hero King Sword as his preferred weapon, which gives him minus and special cooldown, and also is effective against dragon units. So that is the standard Marth shenanigans. And then at start of combat, if his HP is at or above 25%, then he can get plus X to all of his stats, and this is going to be depending on 20% of his speed at start of the combat, plus 5. So this is going to be taking your visible speed into the account and then adding it by 5. And he has got base 47 speed, so he's going to be able to get plus 14 to all of his stats pretty much, but still you can try and boost this with his visible speed, and then he gets 40% damage reduction on foe's first attack, including the brave hits. And then he also pierces through the foe's damage reduction skills by 50%, so it's kind of like Physical Null Follow-Up and Magical Null Follow-Up. And he also gets the dive bomb effect where he can make the follow-up attack before the foe can counter attack. So this is going to be making him function as a really good melee nuke, especially because of his potent follow-up attack and also Lodestar Rush. So this is going to be his exclusive special, which is going to be boosting damage by 40% of his speed. So it does scale off his speed just like Battle Astra, but it's 40%, and it also has Null Guard built in, so he's easily going to be able to trigger the special because of the dive bomb effect built in his weapon. And then his potent follow-up attack is basically going to be at the max strength. So potent follow-up attack can be 80% or 40% of your attack, but with Lodestar Rush, it is going to be, the full damage output of your regular attacks. And then he also gets 40% damage reduction on foe's next attack, kind of like Armored Beacon and Armored Blaze, but this is for both range matchups and melee matchups. And it is going to be once per combat, and this is going to be unpierceable damage reduction. So not only he can function as a good melee nuke, but he can also get the damage reduction out of this and also his weapon. And this kind of damage reduction is going to be unpierceable. So potent follow-up attack is basically an extra hit where you're going to be able to get that extra hit after your standard follow-up attack immediately. So if you don't have a double attack, then this is going to be getting triggered as a standard follow-up attack on a slower unit. So this is going to be an extra hit, as you saw Marth doing 3 attacks, and then he also has attack speed finish, and then they have another page of skills. So Potent 4 is a new slot B skill which is going to be inheritable. I'm not sure about the restrictions. It's probably going to be inheritable to like infantry units that are Sword Lance Axe. So Potent 4 is going to be inflicting -4 speed and defense debuff on the foe in the combat, and it also gives you 30% damage reduction from the attacks in the combat and also from AoE specials. So unlike the dot skills, it doesn't really compare to the speed, it just gives you the 30% damage reduction. And then they've got a mouthful of text, but it pretty much means that it is going to be taking your speed, and if your speed is more than or equal to foe speed -20, then you can get a potent follow-up attack. It is probably not going to be taking stuff like phantom speed into the account, so it's basically a big text of nothing. But once you get it, you'll realize that even units that are not blazing fast actually make use of the potent follow-up attack pretty nicely. So even if they're not at the peak of the speed tiers, they're still going to be able to make use of this because of the extra hit and the damage output that you get on your potent follow-up attack. It is going to be 80% of your regular attack, and it is going to be only 40% if you've got any kind of brave weapon or brave effect from stuff like Brattle Catria or Winter Cordelia, or if your unit can make a follow-up attack. As you can see that other units are going to be having 80% or 40% on their potent follow-up attack, but because of Lodestar Rush, Emblem Marth basically gets the full damage output out of his potent follow-up attack, which is definitely pretty strong because he can pierce the damage reduction, and then he also has that dive bomb effect, so it is perfect for something like this. Even Fuller Marita can do pretty much the same thing, and if you give the Desperation status with Firestorm Dance, then any kind of unit can pretty much do it if they're fast enough. And if they're not fast enough, then they're still going to be able to take advantage of potent follow-up. Of course, we'll have to look out for the inheritance restriction, and then Infantry Null Follow-up 4 is going to be Slotsy skill, so he can support his allies and also get the Null Follow-up status himself, which is definitely useful because of the dive bomb effect in his weapon, and he also gets that Order status, which is going to be enhancing his mobility. And speaking of enhancing, we have Emblem effect. So basically, if you can Emblem engage any kind of unit with Marth, they're going to be getting minus and special cooldown, and it's not going to be, like forever Vital Astra or any kind of 1 cooldown special forever. It is not going to be reduced below 1. So you're going to be able to loop stuff like Godlike Reflexes a lot better and trigger stuff like Armored Beacon and Armored Flow a lot easily. So it is going to be helping those units, and even healers can make pretty good use out of this. And any kind of unit with no quarter, Deadeye, Lethality is also going to be appreciating having minus and special cooldown. And even any kind of unit with the minus and special cooldown weapon is going to be appreciating having this effect so that they can trigger their specials even better. And if a unit has got any kind of brave effect, then it is going to be reducing your special damage output by 8. So they've kind of tried to balance it, but even then, you're still going to be able to trigger your special, which is still going to be doing a lot of damage. So honestly, not the biggest drawback of this emblem effect on brave weapon users, because they're still going to be able to, trigger their specials a lot easily because of the brave effect. So this is going to be a pretty nice effect, and going down the road, they're probably going to be having other emblem effects. I'm dreading for Emblem Sigurd giving everyone like +1 movement. That is going to be a pain. But he might also just give Kanto, so it really depends on what they want to do. I just hope that they keep up with the balancing and have a drawback effect. So like I said before, this is an emblem effect which anyone can use, and this can just be equipped on any kind of team, and even in the hands of AI, like Ether Raid's defense usage, it is still going to be there. So this is another piece of the puzzle basically to have a max investment unit. And yeah, strikes down foes by raining specials. Yeah, that is definitely, accurate for Marth with his Lodestar Rush. So that is going to be our first emblem hero, and they're going to be at the end of the month. I'm again waiting for a game mode that uses these at this point, and that's why they didn't make Emblem Marth votable in the Hero Rises poll. So they do show the Emblem Engage in action, basically Emblem engaging with a Leer. So kind of makes me reminisce about that comic that we got about female Leer trying to engage with Marth. So as you can see, Leer is still able to make use of this despite the minus and special cooldown weapon. So you're going to be able to have Draconic Aura at 1 cooldown, which is really good. And overall, this is going to be giving you some amazing value on the blue pool and also in the red pool. Emblem Marth is an amazing melee nuke and also provides you with the minus and special cooldown, which can definitely be helpful if you're a Gale Force player, or just even with like defensive specials with godlike reflexes and armor beacon, armored flow. It is still going to be helping you. And there's no opportunity cost right now because there's no other emblem character other than Marth as of making this video. So Lumera is going to be in the blue pool and Marth is going to be in the red pool along with Ascended Fur and also Legend Hinoka. And both of them can be really good, and Ascended Fur also provides you with some good fodder. Legend Hinoka does make the flyer lines, and then blue pool is going to be having Veil, who is decent with her drive scal, and there's also Rion Plumeria who's going to be providing you value with the fodder. Green does have Ascended Set, who's an amazing AoE nuke, and also Rion Sonia, who's also an amazing AoE nuke and provides you with the Rion fodder. And Colorless has got 2 old Legend and Mythic units, which are not going to be giving you too much value unless you're trying to plus and merge them. Green does have Thor, who's a bit of a dud, but still, you know, she's going to be able to Gale Force and function as a Smite bot, being a flying unit. And next month, we're going to be getting that 7th anniversary special hero revival where you can summon some of the older seasonal units, and there's also the Hero Fest. Regan and Triandra are going to be getting their remix banner as well. And there's also going to be a new Valentine banner. A Hero Rises is going to be in March, so that is something you can save towards, and also Spark as a free-to-play player. And a new Earth Legend unit is probably going to be there at the end of February because I do think that they're going to be red. It's been a while since we have gotten Legend Male Robin as our last Earth Legend unit, and they're probably going to be color sharing with a tuned Triandra and then Crosshair. And there's also going to be a tuned Peony in the green pool with Haether and Legend Ninian. Ginunga Gap could show up with Mythic Gulfig, or if they want to make another emblem character, they could also do it. I'm not sure how they're going to be releasing the emblem characters or how frequently. Maybe they move chronologically and Celica is next. I'm not really too sure. It's something that we'll have to watch out for. So I hope this can help you plan out your summons, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and a comment, helps tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks down below or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more free videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the extra stats that you get without having any merge on your emblem character. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.